Yeah.
One thing that shocked me, honestly, is that she said that in New York, Ghislaine would go to these around the time school would get out to like middle schools. She would like drive around and say that she was recruiting models for Victoria's Secret and would go up to like all these old girls with like braces and stuff in school uniforms. But she almost always went to do this with Ivana Trump, Trump's ex-wife. And said that they were together all the time in this, going around in cars, talking to these young girls, and that they would exchange information. And the next day, those girls would be in Epstein's office.
Maria was in that car. She was watching these exchanges happen, sitting right there as Ghislaine and Ivana pulled up to schools at dismissal time. Victoria's Secret was the pitch. 12-year-olds in school uniforms with braces. That's who they were approaching. And this wasn't one time. Maria said it happened almost every time they went out together.
Ghislaine told Maria, because Maria would come along in the car, they'd be like, come with us. Like Ghislaine would take her shopping and all this stuff. She'd be like, get in the car, let's go, you know?
Right.
And she would like stay in the car and like see these exchanges happen, you know? But one thing she did tell me is that they asked the kids about their grades. They only wanted the kids with good grades. They wanted smart kids and they wanted talented kids, like creative kids.
Let's connect the dots here. The information got exchanged right there in the car. Then the very next day, those girls were at Epstein's office. This wasn't a slow process. This was a pipeline. And notice how Maria brings up the question of which schools, wealthy prep schools, where parents have power and connections. That means they weren't just targeting anywhere. They were being selective about who they approached.
I honestly don't know because it had never come up before, but she was like, I want her to explain herself. Why was she always there? And why was she always going around with Ghislaine with these kids? You know, why was she involved? Like, she should explain herself. That's what Maria said.
Are there a lot?
Here's what most people don't realize. They were screening these kids. Good grades only. Smart kids. Creative kids. A modeling agency was used as the delivery mechanism. This wasn't random. There were criteria. And Ivana Trump was doing this alongside Ghislaine every single time. When you hear Maria describe it, satanic, horrible, evil, that's coming from someone who watched it happen.
When she was being assaulted, it just clicked. She's like, these people have been around my sister, you know, who's way younger than her. Right. These people have been around my sister. And then she said that she, out of nowhere, had this feeling that they'd taken these pictures she had of her sisters that were like hidden in like the basement of this guest house. She like had all her stuff there, like super organized. And because she was an artist, she had like some pictures of like her younger sisters like half naked for like anatomy stuff, but she always painted them with their clothes on. And apparently they had gone in there and taken the pictures. And after she escaped that mess, barely, she called Epstein's office trying to get those pictures back. And eventually someone called her back and said, don't try and get the pictures back. They're in his briefcase and he's using them. And then she hung up.
Maria had paintings of her younger sisters always clothed. She painted them herself. While she was held at Wexner's estate in Ohio, those pictures were stolen from the basement. When she tried to get them back after escaping, Epstein's office told her straight up, don't bother. They're in his briefcase. He's using them. Her younger sisters had already been targeted, and the assault on Maria is what finally made everything click into place.
I mean, I can't even explain to you how abusive the effing DI is. It's unbelievable to me. I mean, they, first of all, never offered me witness protection. And when I first called them, they knew I was telling, believe me, they knew they knew everything I was telling them. They already knew because they're in on it. And it was so weird, his reactions when I was talking to him. You know, I called and I got some answer guy, and then he passes me to some guy who's like, when I start talking about Wexner, you know. And I asked the guy, do you have, this is all over the phone in 1996. I said, do you have a file on Les Wexner? And he said, why? And I said, he's the head of the snake in this, in America. And I don't even know I was intuiting this. And also, I think it's common sense when you see all this stuff going on. And anyway, when I said that to him, he said, yeah, I don't know, maybe we do. And I said, well, these people are using child pornography, and they've stolen photographs of my sisters. That right there would have been life in prison for Jeffrey and Ghislaine. I still have the envelopes with their touch DNA and fingerprints on them, and the FBI will not take them from me. They never would. They would never take the envelopes that they stole. I mean, they photographs out of these envelopes, and I have proof. I still have the envelopes, Whitney. And the FBI was like, yeah, no, we don't need that. They also knew in 1996 that I'd been trafficked and Annie had been trafficked, and that would have been enough to put them away. But they never cared. They didn't care. And the worst part was I named everybody. I named Donald Trump. I named everyone who I thought was a co-conspirator at the time. So I named like Alan Dershowitz, Donald Trump, absolutely the Clintons. These are people that I saw coming and going that I knew were part of it. And I made it really clear that this is a very scary thing for children and that I see between 5 and 10 girls a day going upstairs. And now that I know what's happening to them, I want it stopped.
Let's look at what actually happened in 1996. Maria gave the FBI names: Trump, Dershowitz, the Clintons, people she saw coming and going from that network. She told them exactly what she was witnessing. 5 to 10 girls a day going upstairs. They already had a file on Wexner. And they refused to take the evidence. The touch DNA, the fingerprints, on the envelopes containing her sister's stolen pictures. They wouldn't take it. The sweetheart deal didn't appear out of nowhere. The cover-up started right there. Maria Farmer's account is one of the most documented, most verifiable pieces of evidence in the entire Epstein investigation. The mainstream media refused to run her full story. The FBI refused to act on her evidence. And the system that protected these people is still intact. If this connected dots for you, subscribe. Next video we go deeper into the Wexner network and who else was being protected.